Good evening, family. My name is Verne Johnson. I'm coming before you, presenting something today on the recent events that has taken place over the last few months in our cities. First of all, starting with Michael Brown and the killing of him by a white police officer, and then shortly after that, another white police officer, as we all seen the video probably hundreds of times, of Eric Gardner and the life that was lost due to the brutality of New York's quote-unquote finest. Uh, with all the protesting and the marching and everything that's going on in the major cities throughout our country, me as a former substance abuse counselor, a motivational speaker, and also a published author, I felt in my heart that there was something that I could have done and could do to offer the people who are still suffering and individuals who are going through these terrible times that we are facing here in our country as a black man. So I decided to write a book. I started writing this book a few months ago and shedding light on some of the situations and circumstances that black people face, particular young black men, how what we face in this country, not only by law enforcement, but by our educational system, jobs, and so forth and so forth. So I wrote a book, and the book is called Black Lives Matter, and it's called Black Lives Matter: A Country Still Divided by Verne Johnson. Some of the important topics that I'll be discussing in this book are based upon a lot of questions that people actually have and don't have answers to it. In this book, I I try with all of my heart through my expertise, researching and study to come up with some of the solutions that I believe and think that black men and women should start moving forward to make change and to better their circumstances and situations, first of all, in their neighborhoods, communities, and throughout their cities. Some of the questions I'm going to read off that I am actually discussing in this book is such as reading off starting saying, in a well overdue and important book, Verne Johnson, published author of When Tears Fall, addressed these controversial issues or questions, I'm sorry. Questions such as, why doesn't Black Lives Matter in America? Why is America still divided? Why are blacks in America still fighting for justice, freedom, and equality? Will white supremacy ever be destroyed in America? Should black Americans be segregated from white Americans? What is the solution to gain independence, wealth, and happiness in America? Again, these are some of the critical questions that needs to be answered. As I continue to watch the news uh, through the television, my iPhone, my laptop, or whatever, I mean, it's around the clock coverage on this issue that we're having in this country. And one thing that I really noticed in watching all these different type of news stations and Google search and this and that, everybody wants to come together and have a conversation. And as I started doing some research and I went all the way back to like the 50s and 60s, especially in the 60s, with the civil rights movement, and that was something that a lot of the civil rights leaders were discussing with the people and politicians, the presidents, the governments, the senators, and the representatives of that state or the entire country. And that's what they were doing even back then, is coming together for a conversation or a discussion. When you fast forward to 2014 and 15, soon to be approaching, we're actually still crying out for that same type of thing. You got all your talk show hosts and hostesses. Everybody wants to have a conversation, but what is the solution and what will be the solution to these problems that we are having in this country? So what I've done over the last 10 years of my sojourn in studying and researching on specific topics, and even going back, like I said, to the 60s and the 70s, is trying to open this thing up. And you can call it maybe a discussion or a conversation, but I look at it like is I am actually trying to make some sense of all of this and what you, black man and woman, as an individual should be doing. Now, it's one thing to go out and march, and it's one thing to go out to protest and cry out for justice and equality and freedom here in this country. But I guess the major key and the major point that I am stressing is what type of change is going on in your own house. What are you teaching your own children? Are you teaching your own children the same knowledge and wisdom and understanding and education that our former slave masters has been teaching us? What are we as a society and a civilization, what are we going to do different? So, yeah, like I said, it's one thing to go out and march and protest, and then you go right back home and do what you do. You go right back home with no change, no transformation of the mind. We go right back to selling drugs to our people, killing our people, abusing our people, disrespecting our people, right after we've marched, right after we protest, right after we've held candlelight vigils. This book right here is actually touching on a lot of these different type of topics that I'm discussing right now. Now, this book will be offered through any iPad, smartphone, whether it's an Android, whether it's a iPad, iPhone, Nook, Kindle, whatever. I am offering this book on every major website that I can possibly get it on for free. That's right, I'm not charging for not one single penny for this book because it's that important to me. I think it's that valuable, and I really believe in my heart that hundreds and even possibly millions of black Americans should read this book. You have no excuse. You are unexcusable. This is going to be free. In a few weeks, it's going to be posted up. I'm going to send it out to everybody and let people know the exact date that it will be published. But it will be published throughout all your major outlets of retail publications. Again, your iPads, Kindles, Nooks, smartphones, Androids, you'll be able to receive this book. Again, you'll be able to download it for free. I am not charging one single penny for this book. It will be free. So, again, I appreciate the time, and I really hope you enjoy it. I will definitely keep in contact with you all on its release.